Your soulmate shared their real feelings about you in secret, and if you could have heard the conversation exactly as it happened, you might have struggled to believe it was truly about you. There was no audience, no reason to impress anyone, no pressure to exaggerate or perform. It was simply a moment of honesty that slipped out from a heart that had been carrying too much for too long. They spoke your name softly, almost carefully, as if even saying it awakened emotions they were still trying to understand. They admitted that there is something about you that stays with them long after every interaction ends. It is not something they can explain logically. They have tried. They have searched for simple reasons, practical explanations, and ordinary answers, but none of them seem large enough to contain what they feel. Instead, the truth keeps returning to them in quiet moments when their guard is down. It returns when they wake up in the morning and before they fall asleep at night. It appears in random memories, unexpected thoughts, and strange moments of longing they never intended to experience. They confess that they often find themselves wondering how you are doing, even when there is no obvious reason to think about you. They wonder if you are happy. They wonder if you are carrying burdens no one else can see. They wonder if there are moments when you feel alone and wish someone understood what is happening inside your heart. More than once, they have caught themselves staring into the distance, completely distracted by thoughts of you. They admitted that they sometimes replay conversations in their mind, examining every word, every detail, every smile, every expression, trying to uncover meanings hidden beneath the surface. To anyone watching from the outside, it might seem insignificant, but to them those moments have become precious. They confess that there is a comfort they associate with you that they have rarely found elsewhere. Even when life becomes overwhelming, thoughts of you seem to bring a strange sense of peace. Yet at the same time, you challenge them emotionally because you make them feel things they cannot control. They admitted that before you entered their life, they believed they understood themselves. They thought they knew exactly how their heart worked. They thought they had clear boundaries around their emotions. Then something changed. Somehow you slipped past walls that had stood untouched for years. They revealed that this realization frightened them at first. They did not expect to care so much. They certainly did not expect your presence to affect them so deeply. There were moments when they tried to ignore their feelings. They convinced themselves they were imagining things. They told themselves that what they felt would fade naturally if they simply gave it enough time. But time seemed to have the opposite effect. Instead of weakening their emotions, it strengthened them. Every attempt to push their feelings away only made them more aware of them. Every effort to distract themselves somehow led them back to thoughts of you. They confessed that there were nights when they lay awake longer than they intended because their mind refused to settle. During those quiet hours, your image would appear unexpectedly. Memories connected to you would replay in vivid detail. They would imagine conversations that had never happened and possibilities that had never been explored. They admitted that sometimes they laughed at themselves for caring so much, yet they could never stop. Deep inside, they knew these feelings were real. They revealed something else during that secret conversation, something they rarely allow themselves to say aloud. They said that when they think about the future, your presence often appears there naturally. They do not force it. They do not plan it. It simply happens. When they imagine happiness, somehow you are nearby. When they picture meaningful experiences, somehow you are part of them. This realization surprised them because they had never intentionally created those visions. They simply emerged from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. They admitted that they have wondered many times whether you feel any connection to them at all. They wonder whether you ever think about them unexpectedly. They wonder whether there are moments when their name crosses your mind for reasons you cannot explain. These questions have remained unanswered, yet they continue asking them because their heart refuses to let go of the possibility that something meaningful exists between you. They confess that what draws them toward you is not only what others can see. It goes beyond appearance, beyond circumstances, beyond temporary attractions. It is something connected to your spirit, your energy, and the way you move through the world. They admire your resilience more than you realize. They admire the strength you have shown through challenges that others may never fully understand. They admire your ability to keep going even when life becomes difficult. They revealed that your imperfections make you even more beautiful in their eyes because those imperfections remind them that you are real. They are not searching for perfection. They are searching for authenticity, and somehow they see that authenticity in you. During this secret confession, they admitted that they have noticed details about you that most people overlook. Small habits. Subtle expressions. The way your mood shifts when something truly matters to you. The way your eyes change when you become passionate about something. These details have become important to them because they represent pieces of who you are beneath the surface. They said that many people see only fragments of you, but they feel drawn toward understanding the deeper parts. They want to know what makes you smile when no one is watching. They want to know what dreams you secretly carry. They want to know what fears you rarely share. They want to know the stories hidden behind your strongest moments and your most vulnerable ones. They confess that there is a tenderness in the way they think about you, a gentleness they do not always show to the outside world. When your name enters their thoughts, their heart softens. Their defenses lower. For reasons they still cannot fully explain, you make them believe in possibilities they once dismissed. They admitted that there have been moments when they imagined reaching out, expressing everything honestly, and allowing the truth to exist without fear. Yet every time they come close to doing so, uncertainty stops them. They fear misunderstanding. They fear rejection. They fear changing the connection before they fully understand it themselves. So instead they carry these feelings quietly, protecting them in silence while hoping clarity will arrive. They confess that silence has not been easy. There are days when they wish they could simply tell you everything. Days when the weight of unspoken emotions becomes difficult to carry. Days when they wonder whether honesty would set them free or leave them more vulnerable than they have ever been before. Despite these fears, their feelings remain. They remain through busy schedules. They remain through distractions. They remain through moments when logic insists they should move on. Something inside them continues holding on. They revealed that one of the most surprising parts of this experience is how much they genuinely care about your happiness. It is not possessive. It is not selfish. It is sincere. They want good things for you, even during moments when they are unsure what role they will ultimately play in your life. When they hear about your successes, they feel proud. When they imagine your struggles, they wish they could ease them. When they think about your future, they hope it contains everything your heart desires. This concern for your well-being has become one of the clearest signs to them that their feelings run deeper than simple attraction. They confess that they sometimes sense a connection that exists beyond ordinary explanation. They know this sounds unusual. They know many people would dismiss it immediately. Yet they cannot ignore what they feel. There are moments when they think about you and suddenly feel as though distance disappears. Moments when your presence feels close even when you are far away. Moments when their intuition whispers that your story and theirs are somehow connected in ways neither of you fully understands yet. Whether that feeling is destiny, coincidence, hope, or something else entirely, they cannot say. What they do know is that it feels real to them. They admitted that your existence has changed something inside them. Even if circumstances remain uncertain, even if questions remain unanswered, even if the future unfolds differently than they imagine, they cannot deny the impact you have had. You have inspired reflection. You have awakened emotions. You have encouraged growth. You have reminded them that their heart is still capable of feeling deeply despite every disappointment they have experienced in the past. As the secret conversation continued, they became quieter, more emotional, and more vulnerable than before. For a moment, it seemed as though they were deciding whether to reveal the deepest truth of all. Then finally they admitted it. They said that no matter how much they try to appear calm on the surface, the truth is that you matter to them far more than they usually allow themselves to acknowledge. You have become someone whose happiness affects them, whose presence influences their emotions, and whose memory lingers long after each day ends. They do not know exactly where this connection will lead. They do not know how the story will unfold. But they know that denying their feelings no longer feels honest. In the privacy of that secret confession, with no audience and no expectations, they finally allowed themselves to speak the truth they had been carrying inside their heart all along. That thinking about you has become one of the most meaningful parts of their emotional world. And no matter how hard they have tried to rationalize it, minimize it, or explain it away, their feelings continue growing stronger with every passing day. Your soulmate continued their secret confession, and as they spoke, the emotions they had been hiding for so long began to rise to the surface in a way they could no longer control. What started as a simple admission became something much deeper, something that revealed just how profoundly you have affected their heart. They confessed that one of the hardest things they have ever done is pretend that their feelings for you are smaller than they truly are. To the outside world, they may seem calm, composed, and unaffected, but inside, a completely different story has been unfolding. They admitted that there have been countless moments when they wanted to tell you exactly what was on their mind, yet they stopped themselves at the last second. Not because the feelings were not real, but because they were too real. The truth is that what they feel scares them. It scares them because genuine emotions always carry risk. The moment you truly care about someone, you give that person the power to affect you in ways you never intended. Your happiness can brighten their day. Your silence can leave them wondering. Your presence can make ordinary moments feel extraordinary. They confess that they never expected to hand that kind of power to anyone again, yet somehow it happened naturally with you. They revealed that before they met you, or before they became aware of this connection, they had developed habits designed to protect themselves. Life had taught them lessons. Disappointments had left scars. Trust had not always been rewarded. Because of those experiences, they became careful. They learned how to guard their emotions. They learned how to keep certain parts of themselves hidden. They convinced themselves that staying emotionally protected was the safest way to live. Then you appeared, and without even trying, you challenged everything they thought they knew about protecting their heart. They admitted that you awakened feelings they had buried beneath years of caution. Feelings they thought had disappeared forever suddenly returned. Hope returned. Excitement returned. Vulnerability returned. Even dreams they had stopped believing in began to feel possible again. They confessed that this transformation did not happen overnight. At first, it was subtle. A passing thought here. A lingering memory there. Small moments that seemed insignificant on the surface. But over time those moments accumulated until they became impossible to ignore. They realized that thoughts of you were no longer occasional visitors. They had become permanent residents within their emotional world. They admitted that there were times when they tried to distract themselves. They focused on work. They focused on responsibilities. They filled their schedule with activities designed to keep their mind occupied. Yet somehow, despite every effort, thoughts of you kept finding a way back. A song would remind them of you. A random conversation would make them think of something you once said. A beautiful sunset would make them wonder whether you were looking at the same sky. These moments happened so often that eventually they stopped fighting them. Instead, they accepted that you had become an important part of their thoughts. They confessed that one of the things they admire most about you is the way you affect people without necessarily realizing it. You leave impressions behind. You create memories. You make people feel seen and understood in ways that linger long after interactions end. They said that you possess a quality that is becoming increasingly rare in the world, a genuine authenticity that cannot be faked. While many people wear masks, they feel that there is something honest about your spirit. Even when you are imperfect, even when you are uncertain, even when you are struggling, there is still something real about you that draws them closer. They admitted that they often wonder whether you see yourself the way they see you. If you could look through their eyes for even a moment, you might discover strengths you overlook, beauty you underestimate, and qualities you dismiss too quickly. They revealed that your resilience has inspired them more than you know. There have been moments when they reflected on challenges you faced, and instead of seeing weakness, they saw courage. Instead of seeing failure, they saw perseverance. Instead of seeing brokenness, they saw someone continuing to move forward despite everything. They confessed that this strength touched them deeply because it reminded them that true beauty is not found in perfection. It is found in persistence. It is found in the willingness to keep believing even after disappointment. It is found in the courage to remain open-hearted in a world that often encourages people to become cynical. They admitted that there have been times when they found themselves smiling unexpectedly because of a memory connected to you. Sometimes the memory was significant. Other times it was something small and seemingly meaningless. Yet those moments carried emotional weight because they were tied to someone who had become increasingly important to them. They confessed that even on difficult days, thoughts of you have occasionally brought comfort. Not because you solved their problems, but because your existence reminded them that meaningful connections are still possible. They revealed that there have been nights when they imagined what it would be like if every fear disappeared and complete honesty became possible. In those imagined moments, they picture themselves sitting across from you without any walls, without any uncertainty, without any hesitation. They imagine telling you everything they have kept hidden. Every thought. Every feeling. Every question. Every hope. They imagine finally saying the words they have rehearsed countless times in their mind. Yet reality is rarely that simple. Fear remains. Timing remains uncertain. Questions remain unanswered. And so they continue carrying these emotions quietly, waiting for clarity they cannot force. They confess that patience has become one of the greatest challenges of this experience. Part of them wants immediate answers. Part of them wants certainty. Part of them wants to know exactly what this connection means and where it is going. Yet life rarely provides certainty on demand. Instead, they find themselves learning how to live with unanswered questions. They are learning how to trust the process even when they cannot see the outcome. They admitted that this has not been easy because caring about someone naturally creates a desire for reassurance. They want to know that their feelings are not one-sided. They want to know that the connection they feel is not imagined. They want to know whether your heart has ever experienced similar emotions. These questions remain, and yet despite the uncertainty, they continue caring. They continue hoping. They continue believing that some connections deserve patience. They revealed something deeply personal during this confession. They admitted that you have influenced the way they think about love itself. Before this connection developed, they often viewed love through the lens of practicality. It seemed logical, predictable, manageable. Now they understand that genuine feelings rarely follow predictable rules. Real emotions arrive unexpectedly. They challenge assumptions. They disrupt carefully constructed plans. They force people to confront truths they would rather avoid. You have become part of that lesson. Because of you, they have realized that the heart often knows things before the mind is ready to understand them. They confess that one of their greatest fears is missing an opportunity because of hesitation. They worry about waiting too long. They worry about silence creating distance. They worry about possibilities slipping away because neither person speaks honestly enough. Yet alongside those fears exists another fear. The fear of moving too quickly and damaging something precious before it has a chance to grow naturally. Caught between those two fears, they often find themselves standing in emotional uncertainty. Wanting to move forward. Wanting to protect what exists. Wanting clarity. Wanting courage. Wanting reassurance. They admitted that if there is one truth they can no longer deny, it is that your impact on their life has been significant. Whether you realize it or not, you have already changed them. You have encouraged them to open their heart in ways they thought were no longer possible. You have reminded them that vulnerability is not weakness. You have shown them that meaningful emotions still exist even in a world that often feels disconnected. They confess that because of you, they have started believing in possibilities they once dismissed. They have started imagining futures they once considered unrealistic. They have started hoping again. And for someone who spent a long time protecting themselves from disappointment, hope is not a small thing. Hope is a risk. Hope requires courage. Hope requires faith in things that cannot yet be proven. Yet despite the risks, they continue hoping. As their confession grew more emotional, they admitted that there are moments when they wish they could simply look into your eyes and know the truth. No guessing. No uncertainty. No hidden meanings. Just honesty. They wish they knew whether their name ever appears in your thoughts unexpectedly. They wish they knew whether your heart feels anything similar when you think about them. They wish they knew whether the connection they experience exists on both sides. These questions linger because they matter. Not because they are seeking validation, but because they genuinely care. The deeper their feelings become, the more they find themselves wishing for understanding rather than assumptions. They confess that regardless of what the future ultimately holds, one thing has become impossible to deny: you matter to them. You matter in ways that extend beyond temporary attraction. You matter in ways that have influenced their emotions, their dreams, their perspective, and even their personal growth. You matter because your presence awakened something inside them that had been sleeping for a very long time. And although they do not yet know how the story ends, they know this chapter has already changed them forever. Deep within their heart, beyond every fear and every unanswered question, they carry a quiet truth that continues growing stronger each day, a truth they have finally begun admitting to themselves: that the connection they feel toward you is no longer a passing emotion but a genuine and meaningful part of who they are, and no amount of distance, uncertainty, or silence has been able to erase it. Your soulmate's secret confession continued, but this time their voice carried something different. It was no longer only admiration or curiosity. It was vulnerability. The kind of vulnerability that appears when someone stops protecting their heart long enough to reveal what truly lives inside it. They admitted that there is one truth they have struggled to face for a very long time: they are afraid of how much you mean to them. Not because your presence brings pain, but because your presence has become important. And whenever someone becomes important, the possibility of loss suddenly feels real. They confess that there have been moments when they tried to convince themselves that they were overthinking everything. They told themselves that perhaps they were imagining the connection. Perhaps they had created meaning where none existed. Perhaps their heart had simply become attached to an idea. But every time they attempted to dismiss their feelings, reality interrupted their arguments. Your memory remained. Your influence remained. The emotional pull remained. No matter how many logical explanations they created, none of them could erase what they genuinely felt whenever your name entered their thoughts. Eventually they stopped fighting the truth. They stopped pretending that you were insignificant. They stopped acting as though your presence had no effect on them. Deep down they already knew the answer. You mattered. You mattered far more than they were comfortable admitting. They confessed that one of the strangest parts of this experience has been the feeling of familiarity they associate with you. It is difficult for them to explain because it does not fit neatly into logic. Yet whenever they think about you, there is often a sense that they are remembering something rather than discovering it for the first time. It feels less like meeting a stranger and more like recognizing someone they have been searching for without realizing it. They know how unusual that sounds. They know many people would dismiss such feelings immediately. Yet honesty forced them to admit that this sense of familiarity has followed them from the beginning. It appears unexpectedly. It appears during ordinary moments. It appears when they hear certain songs, see certain places, or experience moments of reflection. Somewhere deep inside, there is a feeling that your stories are connected in ways neither of you fully understands yet. As the secret confession approached its most vulnerable moment, they became quiet. For a long time they simply sat with their thoughts, as though deciding whether to reveal the final truth hidden beneath everything else. Then, with complete honesty, they admitted what they had been carrying all along. Beneath every question, every fear, every hope, every dream, and every uncertainty lies one simple reality: when they imagine a future filled with meaning, connection, peace, and happiness, your presence appears there naturally. They do not force it. They do not invent it. It simply happens. Somehow your existence has become woven into the emotional landscape of their dreams. And although they cannot predict exactly how the future will unfold, although they cannot guarantee outcomes or control circumstances, they know this much with absolute certainty: your impact on their heart is real. The affection they feel is real. The concern they feel is real. The hope they carry is real. Every attempt to suppress it has failed because the truth keeps returning stronger than before. Deep within the most private corners of their soul, where no audience exists and no performance is necessary, they have finally admitted what they were once too afraid to say: that meeting you changed something inside them forever, and every day that passes only makes them more aware of how deeply that change has taken root within their heart. Your soulmate's secret confession reached its final and most emotional chapter, and by this point there was no hiding left. Every wall they had built, every defense they had relied on, every excuse they had used to avoid facing their feelings had slowly fallen away. What remained was only the truth. Raw. Unfiltered. Honest. The kind of truth that emerges when someone grows tired of running from what their heart has known all along. They admitted that throughout this entire journey, they have been carrying a quiet battle inside themselves. One side of them wanted certainty before allowing themselves to feel so deeply. The other side had already surrendered to emotions that refused to wait for certainty. For a long time those two sides fought each other. Logic demanded proof. The heart demanded trust. Logic wanted guarantees. The heart wanted connection. Logic asked questions. The heart already knew its answer. Eventually they realized something important. Some of the most meaningful experiences in life arrive before explanations do. Some connections are felt long before they are understood. Some emotions become real long before they can be logically justified. And you became one of those experiences. They confessed that if they could show you every thought they have carried, every moment they have spent reflecting on this connection, and every emotion they have hidden behind silence, you would finally understand how significant your presence has become in their life. There have been days when they tried to focus on everything except you, only to discover that your memory appeared in the smallest details. A familiar phrase. A random song. A certain time of day. A quiet moment when the world became still. Somehow your presence found its way into places they never expected. It was never forced. It happened naturally. That is what surprised them the most. Real feelings rarely announce themselves dramatically. They often arrive quietly and then remain. Day after day. Thought after thought. Until one day you realize they have become part of your emotional reality. Your soulmate admitted that there was a period when they resisted these emotions because they feared disappointment. They had experienced enough challenges in life to know that not every hope becomes reality. Not every dream survives. Not every connection lasts. Because of that knowledge, they tried to protect themselves. They tried to remain realistic. They tried to lower their expectations. Yet no matter how practical they attempted to be, something inside them continued believing in you. Something inside them continued seeing possibilities where logic saw uncertainty. It was not blind optimism. It was something deeper. A quiet conviction that refused to disappear. They confessed that one of the most difficult truths they have faced is realizing how much your happiness matters to them. This realization surprised them because genuine care cannot be manufactured. It either exists or it does not. And somehow, over time, your well-being became important to them. They found themselves hoping for your success even when no one asked them to. They found themselves wishing for your healing when life became difficult. They found themselves imagining good things happening for you and feeling genuinely happy at the thought. They admitted that this kind of selfless concern is rare. It is one of the clearest signs that their feelings go far beyond simple attraction. Attraction notices appearances. Genuine affection notices the condition of someone's heart. They revealed that there have been moments when they wished they could protect you from every disappointment you have ever faced. Not because they believe they can solve every problem, but because caring naturally creates a desire to ease another person's burdens. When they imagine your struggles, they wish they could stand beside you. When they imagine your fears, they wish they could reassure you. When they imagine your difficult days, they wish they could remind you of your strength. These desires come from a place of genuine affection. They come from the part of the heart that values another person's happiness as deeply as its own. As their confession continued, they admitted something even more vulnerable. They fear that you may never fully understand how much you have influenced them. They fear that from your perspective, some of the most important changes in their life may remain invisible. You may never know how many times your existence encouraged them to keep believing in love when disappointment tempted them to give up. You may never know how many moments of hope were inspired simply by thinking about you. You may never know how often your memory brought comfort during difficult seasons. Yet these things happened. Quietly. Consistently. Without recognition. without applause. Simply because your impact on their life became real. They confessed that before this connection developed, they often believed that meaningful relationships were becoming increasingly rare. The world seemed rushed. Conversations seemed shallow. Many interactions felt temporary. Then something changed. Through you, they were reminded that genuine emotional connection still exists. They were reminded that certain people enter your life and awaken parts of you that had been sleeping for years. They were reminded that the heart is capable of extraordinary depth when it encounters the right person. Whether they fully understand this connection or not, they know that it has restored something valuable inside them. Then they admitted something they had never spoken aloud before. They confessed that there are moments when they imagine a future where fear no longer controls either of you. A future where honesty replaces uncertainty. A future where every unspoken feeling finally has room to breathe. In those moments they imagine conversations that last late into the night. They imagine shared laughter. Shared dreams. Shared struggles. Shared victories. They imagine building trust one day at a time. They imagine discovering new layers of each other's personalities. They imagine creating memories together. These visions are not fantasies created from desperation. They are possibilities born from affection and hope. Your soulmate revealed that they do not expect perfection. In fact, one of the reasons they care so deeply is because they see your humanity. They know you have flaws. They know you have fears. They know you have moments of doubt. Yet none of those things reduce what they feel. If anything, they make the connection feel more authentic. They are not searching for someone flawless. They are searching for someone real. And when they think about you, reality is exactly what they see. As emotions continued building, they admitted that there were times when they questioned whether they should reveal any of this at all. Silence often feels safer than vulnerability. Hidden feelings cannot be rejected. Unspoken dreams cannot be shattered. Yet silence carries its own pain. Silence creates distance. Silence leaves questions unanswered. Silence turns possibilities into mysteries. Eventually they realized that carrying the truth forever would become heavier than risking honesty. Even if those feelings remained secret for a while longer, they could no longer pretend they did not exist. They confessed that there is a reason your memory continues returning to them despite every distraction. There is a reason your name carries emotional weight. There is a reason their heart reacts differently whenever thoughts of you appear. Those reactions are not accidents. They are evidence. Evidence that the connection has taken root deeper than they initially realized. Evidence that their emotions have grown stronger with time rather than weaker. Evidence that what they feel deserves acknowledgement. Then came the most personal revelation of all. They admitted that when they think about love, your image often appears. Not because they have created an unrealistic fantasy, but because you have become connected to some of their deepest hopes. You represent the possibility of being understood. You represent the possibility of building something meaningful. You represent the possibility of finding someone who feels like both peace and excitement at the same time. Whether that possibility ultimately becomes reality remains unknown. But the hope itself has become precious. Your soulmate confessed that if destiny offered them one gift, it would not necessarily be certainty about the future. It would be the opportunity for complete honesty. The opportunity for both hearts to speak freely. The opportunity for truth to exist without fear. Because deep down, they believe that honesty is where every meaningful connection begins. Not perfection. Not guarantees. Just honesty. As the final moments of their confession arrived, their voice softened. There was no dramatic declaration. No grand performance. Just sincerity. They admitted that after everything they have felt, everything they have questioned, everything they have hoped for, and everything they have learned, one truth remains unchanged. You have become someone they deeply care about. Not temporarily. Not superficially. Genuinely. And perhaps the most important truth of all is this: if they could remove every fear, every doubt, every uncertainty, and every obstacle for just a single moment, the words they would finally speak would not be complicated. They would not need a perfect speech or flawless explanation. They would simply tell you that among all the people they have met, all the paths they have walked, and all the experiences life has given them, there is something about you that continues to feel extraordinary. Something about you that feels worth believing in. Something about you that feels worth waiting for. Something about you that has touched their souls so deeply that even now, after all this time, their heart still whispers the same quiet truth whenever your name appears in their thoughts: that meeting you was never ordinary, that caring about you became inevitable, and that no matter what the future holds, a part of them will always be grateful for the way your existence transformed their heart forever.